my Shawlography-stravaganza. Hello and welcome back to the 100 Acre Wool Knitting Podcast. My name is Bella and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California, and this is a knitting podcast where I like to share with you and talk to you about all the things that I've been making every week, and that's usually fiber arts related, usually knitting, sometimes sewing and other things thrown in there. So today I actually have a finished object to share with you guys. It's been a little while since I've had a finished object, and then also a work in progress and a couple other yarny knitting related things at the end. So stay tuned for that, and let's just jump right into it. So, as I said, I have a finished object, finally. It's been long enough, and it's actually what I'm wearing right now. So, you may have seen this work in progress if you've been watching this podcast for any amount of time. This is the Shawlography Mystery Knit Along, sorry. This is the Shawlography Shawl by Stephen West. And this was the Mystery Knit Along pattern for last year's Mystery Knit Along, the one that he hosts every year. Kind of an annual thing that he does. And yeah, so I finally finished mine. I actually started it with the Make Along, or sorry, I keep saying that. I started it with the Mystery Knit Along when everyone was doing it last year in October. But then some things happened and got a little busy and wasn't able to pick it up again for a while. So I have finally cast it off, and I'm so happy with how it came out. So let me just try to show you all of it. It's also been blocked already, so it's completely finished, and I'm just so happy with how it came out. I'm going to cover myself so maybe you can, hopefully you can see the edge there. It's huge. It's really, really big. It grew a lot when I blocked it. I'll also put in some images of, some mod shots, so maybe you can see all of the details better. But yeah, I'm so happy with how it came out. It's really soft and drapey. I used an alpaca yarn, Acre 2, I think it's called. Alpaca 2. Acre is the brand, Alpaca 2 is the yarn. So that's the yarn I used, and you can see it's just so drapey how it came out when it blocked. And there was a couple points in the pattern that I was a little concerned, like before the blocking, they were looking a little wonky, kind of, maybe your tension doesn't look quite right before it's blocked, but blocking is seriously magic. Like, it just fixes everything for you. So I am a big fan of blocking. I always block my knits. Anyways, I chose to do something a little bit different for the edging of this pattern. So if you are aware of this make along, oh my gosh, how many times am I going to say make along? If you are aware of this knit along, Mystery Knit Along, then you may have seen the edging for this pattern, and you may notice that I did not do the recommended edging, which is clue 4 in the Shawlography pattern. So what it was supposed to be was kind of vertical stripes. So you take your 5 colors, there's 5 colors in this, and you take your 5 colors and you kind of stripe them semi-vertically. There's a little bit of a swoop. It's actually a really beautiful design and I do like it, but I didn't want it for this particular shawl, just with all of everything going on from here up. I don't know, I didn't want vertical stripes because there's already so many colors going on and there's a lot of like small details, and then the stripes would have been really, really big at the bottom, and I didn't think it would quite go for my personal taste. But any knitter is free to do whatever they want to do, of course. But yeah, so I chose to do something different, and what I chose to do was steal a little bit of the pattern from, I'm going to say last year, but it's actually 2 years ago, that Mystery Knit Along's shawl. So Wes knits every year, he does Mystery Knit Along, and the one for 2020 was Slip-stravaganza, that's what it was called, and this was the edging for that. So, bit of a different design, but I really loved the edging on that one. Like, I haven't actually knit that shawl, the Slip-stravaganza. I haven't knit that one, but I always have loved the edging on that one. I think it's just so beautiful. And when I was seeing everyone's in 2020 and early 2021, when, you know, on Instagram you're seeing everybody's finished objects for that shawl, it was just, the edging was my favorite. I thought it was so cool. So decided to do that for this shawl instead. So I'm calling this shawl my Shawlography-stravaganza. So it's kind of a play on words of both of the shawls meshed together and melded together. And yeah, like I said, I'm just so happy with how it came out. I think the smaller details in the edging here goes well with the smaller details of all the colorwork knitting going on in the rest of the shawl, and the edging was also really fun to knit. Like, it was a very kind of different way of doing things that I'm used to, since you are making these V's, points all the way around. It's a lot of stitches too. Oh my gosh, it was so much knitting, but it was really fun and really easy to follow in the pattern. And Stephen West also gives you he gives you links to video tutorials that he's made for all of his mystery knit along shawls for like each clue. So it's really easy to follow. It's definitely not complicated at all. So I think if you want to, you can definitely do it on your shawl or anything. But yeah, so really liked that one. And I actually made a little bit of a mistake. It doesn't really look like a mistake, but I kind of read the pattern incorrectly. So after you so you're knitting top down, and after you make this triangle shape here, you kind of do it for each section all the way down. It's sort of in one row, even though it's not a row per se. Anyways, you do them all at the same time. So after you've done that, then you start doing these, I don't know what you want to call it, like points, the points of each of the colors. And those are in complete rows. And I guess I just misread the directions of like how many times you're supposed to repeat whatever. So my pink section, you may notice, is a bit thinner than the other two. I was supposed to make them all the same thickness, but the pink here is actually a little bit thinner than the other ones. So at first I was like, I didn't actually realize it until I was well into the gray, and I didn't want to rip back all of those rows and all those stitches, because like once you get to this part, it's like every row takes at least a half an hour, it seems. So yeah, really didn't want to rip back all of that work. So I just ended up keeping it, and I actually really like how it came out. I think it's kind of a cool like fading that kind of happens. It's like lighter into darker shades, and it's like a nice transition, I think. So yeah, that was kind of a happy accident that happened there. And a little bit about the yarn. I've said this already, but for new people around here, the yarn is Isair Alpaca 2. I had ordered a kit from Stephen West's, and it's called Stephen and Penelope. It's Stephen West's online yarn shop. I think they also have a brick and mortar in Amsterdam. I think that's where it is. Anyways, when this shawl was going to come out back in October last year, I picked up one of the kits for it because I just fell in love with this color story and color combo. So it's the gold and, well, you can see all of the colors, but anyways, 5 colors. And this one, the pattern calls for 100 grams. So for this particular base, you actually got 2 skeins of each color, which, funny story, I actually pretty much only used half of the yarn that was given. So I think because this base is actually a little bit thinner, it's kind of a light fingering, so it actually went further, I guess. Like, there was more yards in 50 grams than would be normally in a fingering weight yarn. So anyways, yeah, this shawl pretty much only used 1 skein of all the colors, actually less than 1 skein of all of the colors except for the gold, because since I did choose to do the border like this, I used the gold as like the main color, so it used a little bit more of the gold, and I was like, ugh, I was a little bit like, at the end when I was doing the I-cord bind off, I had to start on a new skein of the gold, just for the bind off. So I had to break into my new skein. I was like so determined. I was like, no, I can only use the 5 skeins that I already have going, but had to break into a little bit of the last one just for this I-cord bind off. But it's okay. I'm glad I had it, you know, because if I hadn't have had it and I just ran out of yarn, that would not be as fun. So anyways, yeah, so almost used only half of it. So I have quite a bit of yarn left in my stash that I can use for something else. So all in all, this was a pretty economical shawl. It being, you know, really high quality yarn and such a beautiful pattern, I think. Just very happy with how it came out. So with it being a kit, Stephen West includes kind of a couple other little goodies in his kits, at least for the mystery knit-alongs. So he always includes, I think he always includes a label for you to sew onto your shawl at the end, which this I was actually like very excited about. I thought it was just so cute to have a little label that would say when you made it and what it was. I just love the idea of little labels, like handmade, for handmade things, little labels. So I have sewn mine on, so maybe you can see it says MCAL 2021 on one side, and then West Knits on the other side. So I just think that's a really cute touch. I'm so happy he includes those in the kits, so that's kind of where it is. It's at the edge there at the end. So I think I've gone on enough about this shawl for today. If you are still knitting on your shawlography, and if you don't want to do the striping border at the edge, maybe consider doing a little bit of one of Stephen West's other patterns. So either like this one, the Slip-stravaganza, or he has tons of shawls. So I'm sure you can find something that you would like to swap it out with, but yeah, I would highly recommend doing that because it's pretty simple. Oh, I should actually kind of tell you how I did this. There was just a little bit of math involved to get the stitch count right for like how many triangles you would have and how many edge stitches are like left over on the edges of the shawl. It's really not difficult, but yeah, I would just say like make sure that your stitch count is right before starting on the section if you are choosing to do something different. Because at least for the Slip-stravaganza, that like portion of the edging, like right before the edging, there was more stitches than in this shawl. So just make sure your math works out right, and then it should be smooth sailing from there. So yeah, gone on enough about this one, and let's move on to the next project. So next, many of you will probably be excited to hear about this one, hear how this one is going. I have made some progress on my Anne Boleyn. It is not quite finished yet, but it is so close, like actually so close this time. So this week, I have gotten a lot of seaming done. I have gotten pretty much all of the seaming done on the entire sweater. So this is one of the arms now. I also blocked them. I'm not sure if that was in last episode, but I also blocked them all. I'll probably put a picture here so you can see all of the pieces laid out, all meticulously measured and pinned to make sure that they'll all fit together well, since I am seaming them together, or since I did seam them together. So anyways, this is one of the arm pieces, and may I just say, the fabric seriously got so much nicer. Like, can you see how drapey this is now? I don't know, like, it was a little bit stiff beforehand, and I was thinking, oh, maybe it'll be very structured, like maybe it'll be a very, very structured jacket, but I am pleasantly surprised with how it blocked out. It's really nice. And if you are curious to hear more about how I blocked this pattern, I did do something different and kind of more involved than usually what I do. I usually just wet block, so I just soak the item in some water and wool wash for a little bit, and then I'll just pat it between some towels, you know, wring out a little bit of the water, or most of the water, so that it's just kind of damp, and then I'll pin block it on some blocking mats to get it to the right size. For this project, I did something quite a bit different, so if you would like to hear more about that, for what I would recommend for this kind of wool. So if you would like to see what I would recommend for this kind of wool, which is Hebridean 2-ply yarn, this is Alice Starmore's Hebridean 2-ply. It's very similar to like a Shetland wool. It's 100% Hebridean wool, so it's very sheepy, and it still has all of the kind of fibers. It's non-super wash, so it still has all the fibers sticking out, and can felt kind of easily. So anyways, if you would like to hear my thoughts about how to block these, let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll include that in a future episode or something. But anyways, yes, I did do seaming this week on this project. So the seam is here. Maybe you can see that. I'm not sure. It's probably very small. I'll probably get a closer up photo so you can see the detail of the seam, because it's actually a very beautiful seam in my opinion. I did mattress stitch for this. The edges of the pieces, of all of the pieces in the entire garment, all of the edges have a knit stitch at the very edge. So in the pattern, Alice Starmore pretty much tells you how to turn those two edge knit stitches into kind of a faux knit stitch on the right side. So it just looks like a column of knit stitches here on the seam, instead of it being kind of like a line that maybe wouldn't look like it's fully joined, and maybe it would look more like an obvious seam. I think this is a really beautiful way to do it. So that was very enjoyable to do. And I also have joined the cuff to the bottom here, and that was also mattress stitch that I chose to do for that one. And I'm just so happy with how it came out. I think it's just turning into what it's supposed to look like, and I'm just so happy with it. You also kind of gather the arm a little bit to fit into the cuff. So it's not really noticeable, but there's a little tiny bit of a gather there. And then also I've sewed the buttons onto the cuff, and it's just coming out better than I could have imagined. I'm really happy with these buttons, and I will make sure to link them down below. They'll also be linked in my Ravelry project page for this pattern. Also, I always forget to say this, but everything that I discuss in my podcasts, as far as patterns, designers, yarn, if I have any, to show you, all of that information is always down in the description below this video. So make sure to check that out if you are curious about anything I talk about today. So that's one of the sleeves, and it's a set-in sleeve if you can't see that there. So it will kind of, well, I'm wearing a sweater, so it's not really going to work, but yeah, there's one of the sleeves. And I also have the other sleeve seamed. I still need to put the cuff on this one, but that's all seamed up. And then I have seamed also the entire body section. So I'm so happy with how it's looking. Oh my gosh. It's just turning out so well. This is what taking your time and patience and just doing things the right way, I feel like this is what happens when you do that. Like the wait is worth it, right? So anyways, here is the body piece here, and you can see the side seams, and it's very shaped. It's really coming alive now with the shaping. You can probably see the waist shaping there. And then the shoulder seams, which I did really try to make it look like the bobble, the vertical bobble lines met up really well. So hopefully you can see that. Also on this side. So really tried to make those as seamless as possible, even though there is a seam. And on the back portion here, this is how it looks being blocked. So I've also sewn in the belt at the bottom there. Just really cute little detail, I think. I actually had to re-knit this belt this week because the original one that I made the belt a while ago, right after I had knit this back piece. So the original one that I made turned out way too small. I don't know what happened with my gauge or my tension. It must have been way too tight because the belt was not going to fit. So luckily I have, I think, plenty of extra yarn, so I was able to knit a completely new one there. And yeah, like I said, this is just, can you see the drape of this? It's really turned into something magical once it's been blocked. So next steps are the collar. So you can see I have some live stitches here on the back and then also underneath here. I would put this on to show you, but my sweater is quite bulky today, so I think you'll just have to wait till next episode when this is all finished and you can see all of the details of me wearing it and everything. But anyways, yes, so I still have the collar to do. It's a folded over collar, so kind of a business shirt sort of a collar. And then I also have the button band, so I'll be picking up stitches along both the front pieces here and doing the button band. And I still have a lot of buttons that I need to use, so that'll be good. I don't think I'll run out of buttons. And also the inside I wanted to show you because I'm not sure if I've ever showed you guys the inside, or the wrong side rather. So here's the wrong side, and it is Intarsia baubles. I think I always say that wrong. Intarsia baubles. So these vertical lines of color, you're not carrying floats across the entire way. So I think even on the wrong side, it's really pretty. Maybe one day I'll try to like turn it inside out and wear it that way. Maybe not, but I just think it's beautiful inside and out. So yeah, I can't believe it's almost finished. It's been pretty much a year that I've been working on this. I cast on, I think, this past March, but even before that, I was doing a lot of work with choosing colors. These are all of these colors were not used in the original design. So the original was kind of more moody, dark tones. It was like teals and like deep reds. Really beautiful, but I didn't think it would quite go with my wardrobe. So I did a lot of work with kind of comparing Alice Starmore's Hebridean 2-ply yarn on her website and just trying to figure out my own color combination with all of these baubles, since there is 5 colors used in this. So yeah, I can't believe it's almost finished, and I'm just going to be so happy once it's finished, and I'm going to wear it all the time, and yeah, it's crazy to think that it's almost finished. So I am going to say it will be definitely finished by next episode, and I will probably be doing my next episode in a week, so by the end of the week, it's going to be finished. It's so exciting. So yeah, if you would like to see it finished, make sure to check back next week. And with that, that is my only whip to show you. Most of the week was spent on finishing the shawlography, and that was a lot of stitches. It was like 1,000 stitches almost at one point. So now I have some spinning goodies to share with you. One of my friends here on YouTube, Alexandra of the November Woods Crafting podcast, she also has a hand-dyed yarn company. So a couple of weeks ago, or actually a little bit more than a couple of weeks ago, she posted on her Instagram stories, I believe, that she was spinning some wool that she had had. It was really beautiful, and we just kind of got into a conversation about how I've always wanted to start spinning. I just think hand-spun yarn is so cool, and the amount of options that you have, and it's just a creative outlet completely of its own, and then you can knit with it, so it's even cooler. So anyways, I was telling her how I really want to try it someday. And she so kindly sent me a box full of fiber for me to use and spin something into, or spin something out of. So I thought I would share that with you all, since I am kind of in a little bit of a pause state with this for now. Oh, she also sent me this lovely spindle. So this is what I'm going to be spinning the fiber on. I have to learn how to use this. So I've actually looked at some tutorials on YouTube already to try to figure out how to spin fiber with an actual spindle instead of like a spinning wheel. For some reason, a spinning wheel seems to make more sense to me than something so simple, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. So thank you, Alexandra, for this lovely, lovely gift. And then also the fiber, which is totally gorgeous. I don't want to get my hands all full of lanolin, so I'm just going to hold up the box here. Hopefully you can see. It's beautiful colors. There's some lighter tones and darker tones. It's overall like a heathered gray. And then there's also some white bits, which I'm not sure if that's like, you know, sheep grease and like dirt and stuff that like once I wash this it'll come out. But anyways, I think it's a really beautiful fiber. It's also very soft. So I'm really excited to use this, but I do want to prep it properly so that the yarn that comes out of it, the yarn that I create out of it, I'll love and really want to knit something out of it. So I want to prep it properly. So I know I first need to wash it, and then I need to card it, and then spin it. So carding. I don't really know what to do about carding at this point. I am thinking about a drum carder, but I'm not sure if I need to be spending that much money on something at this point, since I'm just getting into it. I was also looking at, now I'm forgetting what they're called, but like the boards, I'm totally forgetting what they're called. It's kind of like a drum carder, but you just like brush the fiber onto a flat board of the needles. I'm totally not explaining this well, but hopefully you know what I'm talking about. But I wanted to talk about this because I wanted to see if anyone had suggestions of drum carders or any sort of carding mechanism that I could use to card this fiber so that I could get it ready for spinning. Or just any spinning tips in general, because I'm completely new to this and I'm really excited about it, but yeah. I would like to know how to do things the right way right out of the gate. So yeah, if you have any suggestions for carders for this, I'm not sure what the fiber is exactly, like what type of sheep it came from, what variety of sheep. But anyways, yeah, if you have any suggestions, please do let me know in the comments below. And at some point, I will get to carding this and spinning it up. And of course, I will share all of my progress and updates with you guys here. So I'm very excited about that. And thanks again, Alexandra. This was just such a generous gift, and it will definitely be getting used. I'll make something hopefully beautiful with it someday. And my last little thing to share with you is a skein of yarn that I picked up just on a whim. I went to Michael's with my partner the other day, and he needed to get something from Michael's, and I was just going with him just to, you know, check it out and browse and see what there is, as one does. And I stumbled past the yarn section, and I'm usually not one to knit with acrylic yarns, but I saw this particular yarn and it was just calling to me and I had to pick it up. So I saw this yarn and I'm hoping the colors are coming up well on the camera because the colors were just, screaming to me that I need this yarn. So I think it's really cool how the yarn is dyed. I think once it's knit up, it's gonna kind of make an ombre gradient effect and also kind of stripy in there. So this is Woolly's, Line Brand Woolly's Thick and Quick. It's a really, I would call it like a chunky weight yarn. It's very, very thick. So I don't know what I'm going to make with this. Probably a hat or something like that. I think that would be cute. And it's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. So yeah, I wasn't planning on getting this, but just the colors, and it's actually still really soft and squidgy, and I just thought it would be a cute little project to have on the needles at some point. So yeah, if you have any suggestions for chunky weight yarn patterns that use only one ball, then let me know those as well. So yeah, that'll be fun to use. And that is all of the knitting content I have to share with you all today. I hope you've had a great week. This week has been really crazy here in California. It already feels like spring, which is great, but also kind of sad because I did want winter. I do like winter. Winter is the time that you get to cuddle up and knit 24/7 and no one can say anything about it because it's cold outside. But anyways, yeah, it's feeling kind of like spring already. And especially coming back from Virginia a couple of weeks ago when it was literally snowing and blizzarding right when I left. It's quite a different temperature change. So yeah, that was a little bit weird, but I hope you all have been having a good week and enjoying your winter wherever you are, and also a great time knitting with whatever project you've got on your needles. So with that, thank you for watching today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, so that you make sure to see my upcoming videos, especially next one because it's going to have the finished Anne Boleyn. Oh! Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!